So now after that we have run this code, let's recap what do we expect, after running this code. So as we said, the training data, which is X-train, as I'm highlighting here, and the Y-train, these will be used to train the machine learning model. So the model will learn the relationship between the features X-train from X-train, and will learn the patterns how it predict the Y-train to make predictions. Also on the X test and the Y test, this will be used to evaluate the performance of the model after training. So the test data is kept separate from the training data to ensure that the model is evaluated on a new and unseen data, helping to assess how well the model generalizes to data that hasn't seen before. But why is that, and why this step is very important to us? It helps the model to prevent overfitting. By splitting the data, you ensure that the model is not just memorizing the data is trained on, which can lead to the overfitting. Instead, it will be tested on unseen data, which is the test set that we created, providing a better measure of its ability to to generalize. Also, it's important when doing the model evaluation. So the test set allows you to evaluate how well your model perform on new and unseen data. This helps you to understand how your model will behave on real world application. This is very important. So as we mentioned, this will help you to understand how your model will behave in real world application where it encounter new data that it wasn't part of the training process. Again, to talk about the size of the sets that we have, for example, assuming that your data set X and Y has 1,000 sample, in our case, we have around 303 sample, and you use the test size equal to 20% or zero point 0.2. So the training set will equal to 80% of the 1,000 sample. In our case, it's 303 sample. On the case of 1,000 samples, so 800 sample will go for X train and Y train. And the test set, which includes around 20% of the 1,000 sample, that will only equal to 200 sample, including the X test and Y test. So let's now try to see how X train data set will look like. Train. Just to give you an overview how will the data will look like on X train. As you could see that X train, it contains the features only without the target variable, which is in the Y train. And also you might notice that it only contains 242 rows out of the 303, and this proportion is equal to 80%. Let's now see the Y train. Y train. It will have the same variables. We say the Y train only includes the target variable with the same total of the X train, where it's equal to 242 rows. Let's now see the X test. As you expected, that it only contains the data where the features exist, but it will have only a smaller proportion with 20% only from the total data set that we have is equal to 303 rows. So this represents 20% of the data. The same thing goes to Y test. It will only contains 61 row, but it will only include the one and zeros. So this is the summary of doing training and testing split. Let's remind ourselves that this is part of the modeling step that we are doing to remind ourselves of the framework that we were following. So we already identified the problem. We already seen the data.